Greetings, everyone. It's July 23rd, 2026. Welcome to my live. I got some new bookshelves, but you can't really see them, can you? Yeah. Welcome, everybody. I got a bunch of Metatron Not the News to share. Let's see. And then I'll take questions. We got 79 people here. Let's see where people are zooming in from. We got Iowa, we got Brea, California, St. Petersburg, Florida, Maryville, Tennessee, Western Mass, South Carolina, Shreveport, Louisiana, Asheville, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, Bay Area, Oregonia, Boston. Oh, Honolulu. It's really hot where I am in LA. We got going through a heat wave, and our houses aren't really built for this. And I got a little portable AC, but it's still 80 degrees in here. 81 with the AC. It's not working, but it's like 90 something outside. So DeBerry, Florida, Southern Illinois, Ohio, Prescott. Welcome, everybody. Oh, Arias reporting for mod duty. Thank you. Oh, yeah. What happened to the painting? Uh-oh. I don't know how that happened. I put these new bookshelves in, and I think maybe something got hit. I have piles and piles of books, so I had to get more bookshelves. My apartment is mostly bookshelves. A little bit of other furniture, but El Paso, Texas, Buffalo, New York, Nova Scotia, Oklahoma. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to my live. I got some, thanks to my mods. We got Orias here. And if you're another mod, let me know, and I can publicly thank you. Or if I see you, I will. Wanted to share a few things, little bits of good news. Apparently, support for the war in Persia has plummeted among followers of the circus. People who actually put tickets in for the circus, yeah, they're not happy. I don't know who's happy. And apparently in Pennsylvania, do we have any Pennsylvanians in the house? The Coldwater crew had to drop plans for 2 of their trafficking centers. They had some warehouses they were going to buy for their traffic centers of detainment. And yeah, they had to cancel. That's the power of the persistence. Got Albuquerque in the house, North Carolina, Southern Illinois. Oh, Oxford Cat, that's one of my mods. Welcome. Thank you. Alberta, Sister Canada's in the house. Welcome. We got 223 here. Seattle. I'm going to be up in Seattle in a couple weeks. North Shore of Lake Erie. I love Seattle. Okay, here we go. Carla Oder, thank you for the gift. Appreciate it. Oh, here's another mod. Abby Yandel. Appreciate you. I'm on live duty. Did I already acknowledge Oxford Cat? Maybe. I can't remember. Thank you to all my mods. Pennsylvania in the house. Okay, Indianapolis. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, here's some more good news. Sister Europe. All of Europe. The EU. They decided to hit the Googly Eye company with a major $1 billion fine. Let's see. Do I need more light? Oh, yeah. Where's my light? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So I always love it when we find out about these big corporations having to pay their pay their dues. It's always a good time. Oh, I didn't know Jimothy was in Seattle. Jimothy the raccoon. If you haven't seen, check him out on YouTube or TikTok. I'm not sure where Jimothy is. Is Jimothy a girl or a boy? I can't remember. It's a raccoon who's differently abled, got a different kind of body type. So when people first look at it, they can't tell it's a raccoon. They're like, "What is that? What kind of animal is that?" And they've become really popular. All right, more good news. Um, the U.S. is on track to have historically low numbers of homicides in 2026. And you know what my theory is on that? It's because we're uniting against a common foe. We can't fight amongst ourselves anymore, right? Crime's going down. I've seen other reports about crime going down. There's lots of different types of crime that are going down. And that's because we're unifying. We're coming together and we're realizing, okay, we know who the enemy is. It's not my neighbor. The enemy is a circus and those clowns running it, right? That's my theory about the decrease in crime. But either way, it's a beautiful thing, right? All right, here's another bit of good news. Metatron, not the news, not a reporter. I think I got this from Ground News. I like Ground News, if you know about that. Okay, both, I don't know if I can say this word. A couple of tech companies. One of them is owned by Starboard, the other one, Alphabet. I don't know who owns Alphabet. Let me know in the comments. They're losing hundreds of billions in value in post-earnings stock plunge. And the reason I'm bringing this up, I've got some more information too about the intelligence that's artificial. If you're following me, if you've been coming to my lives, you may recall that I said that the bubble is going to burst, right? The bubble of robots, the robot intelligence bubble is going to burst. I told people, look, disinvest if you can. I'm not a financial advisor, but this is what I got intuitively. It's what I got from my guides. And so we're seeing it now. So I found all of these reports today. So that was one of them, that the big tea company owned by Starboy lost a bunch of money. Let me see what else I got. Also, the googly-eyed company, it was just reported that they had their first negative cash flow due to the robot bubble bursting. And this is the first negative cash flow the googly-eyed company has ever had. So keep that in mind. Like 22 years is the first time, because they invested in the robot intelligence. And then what was the other one? I had another note here about now I can't find it, but it was about that same company, how much money they're losing. Yeah, hundreds of billions loss in valuation. So remember I said before, someone asked, maybe it was last week, I said it was going to look like this, the earnings, the valuation of robot stock. I'm using code words. If you're new to my channel, I use code words because I don't want to be hit with anything from the algo. So the robot stock valuations. I said, get out if you can, because it's going to burst. And then someone said, I said it's going to go like this. It's going to get really high and then it's going to drop precipitously like this. And someone said, when? And I was hesitant to tune into it when, because dates, they can change. But I did get July. So I feel like this is validation of what I said. We are now seeing it drop. So apparently July 23rd, we're on the downslope. So I hope you got out while you could. Is there a fan on? Yes, there is. I am in a heat wave. So I have a fan and a portable AC on, and it's still 80 degrees in here. So that's how hot it is. It's 90 something outside, and I can't handle the heat. So we are keeping the fan on. Sounds like some kind of wind is blowing. I think I moved the fan closer, and that might be why. I don't know. I could risk moving it away, but do I want to do that? I finally got a little cooled off. I'm going to move it slightly to the left and see if that helps. Okay. We got to work with the situation we're in. Um, oh, and someone said Google is being sued by the EU. Tell me if it's the mic is better now because I shifted the fan over. So tell me if it's better. The fan is not blowing directly on the mic, but maybe it's just blowing my voice around. I don't know. Possible. Put a bowl of ice. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Mara Renee. Don't forget to like the chat. Okay. So did I share? I didn't share all of my not the news. I got some more. Welcome to my live. Got 323 in here. I'm going to just go over a little bit of Metatron, not the news, and I'm going to be tuning into questions. Uh-oh. Someone said my video about Disclosure Day was taken down. Ooh, I didn't know that. I have to check on that. Okay, let me know if the mic is better now. So I adjusted the fan. So let me know if it's better. Okay. Yeah, we are in a heat wave over here in LA, and our houses aren't really made for it. So we don't have like insulation and stuff, and we got to make do. We got to do what we can. All right. Thank you for the gift, the inner path. Oh, you have a question though. I'm not doing questions yet. So I'm going to come back to you. I got to finish we're only 12 minutes in. I want to share some more, not the news. Oh, here's some really exciting news. It has to do with the BBC. So in case you're not following it, the newest installment of Epi News. The brothers Tate, the Tater Tot brothers, have been arrested and are facing extradition by the UK for crimes related to the files of Epi. And so that happened like last week. Well, now Idiot Head Clown decided to sue the BBC because they wrote a story about his latest grift having to do with golden airplanes and whatnot. And the fool doesn't seem to understand the concept of discovery. So BBC is like, oh, bet you want to sue us? Well, hey, we want to subpoena all your financial records. We want your personal diary. We also want to talk to all your friends and family. We actually want to interview everybody in your inner circle as a part of our discovery. So it's not really working out for him. And this is exciting because if we combine the Tater Tot brothers with the BBC lawsuit discovery strategy, we can see that maybe something is a brewing over there in the kingdom that's united. Maybe they're trying to make some progress on the files. I'm feeling hopeful. France and UK. I'm feeling hopeful about both of you helping us out, helping us to remove the circus. All right, someone said the fan is fine now. Okay, good. Yeah, we are in. Oh, we do Metatron, not the news merch. Oh, I should make some, huh? Okay, but I'm going to say something about that before I do. I'm going to say something. Because every time one of you makes a suggestion to me that has to do with money and I do it, then other people complain. Like it was my birthday and someone said, you should make a wish list. And then I tried to. I didn't do it right. And then it didn't work. And then I tried to do another one. And then people got mad and said, you shouldn't be asking for gifts for your birthday. And then someone told me everything I've done on here that has to do with getting support, it's been someone's idea, one of your ideas. But then if I do it, there's always people saying, why are you selling merch? You're supposed to be a psychic. But wouldn't that be cool? Metatron, not the news sweatshirt. I think that would be cool, actually. I like that idea. All right, back to my Metatron, not the news. I have one more thing, I think. I think there was something else. Oh, yes, more good news. The FCC commissioners refusing to kowtow to the head clown when he was trying to say he could remove the broadcast licenses from ABC and NBC because they refused to air his live 97% false speech. Yeah, they fact checked him, and there were only 3% of what he said was not a lie. 3%. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, so these networks were like, we're not airing that slop. And so now he's mad. So he's like, I'm going to take away your license. And, in the past, this is a sign of progress because in the past, maybe like 6 months ago, he was able to get rid of, temporarily Jimmy Kimmel by threatening to take away the license for that network. So apparently something has shifted because 6 months ago, apparently the FCC was going to do his bidding and just take away licenses based on political decisions. And something has shifted because now they're like, yeah, dude, you can't do that. You don't have the power to do that. I think that's progress. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I am going to get back to that question. Oh, why do I have a blue? This person is blue, but I don't know why. 2 gems sparkles. Did you give me 2 gems? I don't even know what that is, but I like gems. Moon beatification. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for all you do, JLV. I appreciate you. Hello. Got someone from Chicagoland. Oh yeah, someone else said for the merch, put the spatula on the t-shirt. Oh, I love these ideas. Okay, so I'm going to start answering questions soon. If you're here, and if you're new to my channel, I'm the Ethical Psychic, and I do a variety of things: humorous, satire, psychic, storytelling. And so I like to start with my Metatron, Not the News, where I share good news from around the world. And then I like to have people ask me questions, and then I tune in intuitively and see what I get. And psychics got to eat too. Yeah, so let's see. I know that there was, I'm trying to find the question that was already asked. Here's another question. Okay, I'm going to start with this one, and then I'm going to try to find the earlier question. It got asked a little early, and I wasn't ready. Chick ADDD. Thank you for your gift. Have you heard about the podcast, The Telepathy Tapes? Yes, I have. If so, what do you think? If not, check it out. Seems like if true, it could be a major disclosure day situation minus the ETs. Okay. Yeah, so I do recommend the telepathy tapes to anyone who hasn't seen them, especially if you're on the autism spectrum, or if you have anyone in your family who's on the autism spectrum, you might want to check them out. It's really interesting. So there's like a scientist and a journalist. Actually, I can't remember, but these people team up. And they go around the country, maybe the world. Maybe they go around the world. And they interview these mothers of autistic children who are nonverbal. So there's different types of autism, right? And some people are highly functional, and some people require a lot of care and are nonverbal. And so their mothers, tend to take care of them. And so they went around and started interviewing these mothers who had been making claims for years that their autistic children were telepathic, and that even though their autistic children were unable to speak with their mouths or do sign language, they were able to communicate telepathically with their mothers. And of course, A lot of doctors didn't believe the mothers, medical gaslighting, that no one believes the women. And so, even though this was kind of common knowledge among parents of nonverbal autistic children, or this was like a common rumor, I don't know what to call it, something that people talked about, it wasn't taken seriously by any professionals until this particular team of scientists and journalists decided to do this study where they went around interviewing these women and then doing these experiments to see if they could verify this. And so they would do things like put the mother in a different room, put the child who may not have been a child or an adult child in another room. I think they're all children, and some of them might have been adults. I can't remember. And then they would like have the mother look at a card, say like one of those telepathy experiment cards, and then have the child identify a card using a machine or something and see how accurate they were. So I don't know. I'm just describing in general what the experiment is like. I think there was a lot more to it than that, but and it had some really interesting results. The first result it had was that it seemed to confirm that these people were telepathic. They were able to get, provide information that they had no way of knowing. But it went beyond that because it ended up uncovering all of this other information about the nature of reality and how these autistic nonverbal people were able to talk about other realms that they were traveling in, where they were communicating with other autistic people. There was a place called The Hill, I think. And it ended up being this very interesting kind of metaphysical discussion that was provoked by these experiments. So I think they're in like season 3 or something of this podcast, Telepathy Tapes. I do think it is like Disclosure Day. I think it's a revelation, and hopefully more scientists will study this. The problem we have, we got 500 in the room. Welcome everybody to my live. The problem with research on psychic is this. If you look at the history of research institutes who have done work on psychic phenomena or paranormal phenomena in the United States, they've all either been taken over by the government and or closed. And so even though the United States is known for its research in a lot of areas, like we have a lot of money here for research, we have a lot of universities, and you would think that there would be a lot of research here on that topic, but in fact there is not. And most of the research on the topic of psychic right now is happening in other countries. And, I find it very sus, and I find it very disappointing. I'm actually starting my own school, Metatron's Academy of Spirit and Science, where we are going to do that kind of research, among other things. Also train people in psychic gifts and medical intuition and healing, but also study science and history and various subjects, but with an intuitive focus. And I just find it somewhat problematic that we don't have a whole lot of institutes or schools here. I also think it's problematic that if you look, I've been doing research on this lately, it's hard to find, schools where you can learn psychic stuff. So like Finley College in England and the UK, they have a college, but it's not like a residential full-time college where people can go and get a 4-year degree. It's like you go for a week and you get a certificate. So we need that. We need universities where people can learn things like telepathy, right? One day, people, one day. Mine might be the first, but hopefully there'll be lots of them everywhere. So let me find that other question. There was an earlier question that with a gift that here we go. The Inner Path, SBC, the Inner Path. Okay. Can you give any insight into MK Ultra, the recent MK Ultra congressional hearing, and the deletion of CK? Is CK like Chuckle Cheese, the guy that was unalived. Is that what you mean? Or deletion of something else? And some of the other attempts at deletions that weren't successful. Or is deletion something else? What is CK? I don't know what CK is. So my short answer to this question is no. I don't know anything about MK Ultra. I think I heard some other psychics on here talk about it, some type of government program related to the paranormal. Um, I could tune into it. I don't really know anything about it, so I guess I can tune into just MK Ultra and see what I get. All right, and you can feel free to fill me in the comments if you want to give me more information about it. All that I know about it is it was allegedly a government program related to psychic stuff. Actually, I don't even know if I know that even that is true. Someone tell me more about it. Um, someone said they're scolding folks for closing their eyes. Oh, there's different ways of being a clairvoyant. You can keep your eyes open or you can keep your eyes closed. It's just a matter of preference. Um, I got in the habit of closing my eyes because working with clients, people don't really like it when you stare at them and say stuff about them. So I got in the habit of closing my eyes. I also like to close my eyes because I really value my sanity. And if you can't distinguish between the other world and this world, if your eyes are open and you're seeing spirits and you're seeing other realms, um, I felt that used to be how I worked, and I found it confusing when I was a young person. Like I would see spirits in my apartment, and um, sometimes I would see things around people, and you know, that can be kind of just it can really interrupt in your life, right? If you're just like walking down the street and then boom, right? There's something from the other world and you're like, it reminds me of there's that show The Medium. And I thought The Medium was a good show. It's a very accurate portrayal of what it's like to be a medium because I am a medium. Medium is someone who can see spirit and communicate with spirit. And so I'm a natural medium. I was born a medium, but I also took a lot of classes and got a lot of training to learn to control it. And so a medium can communicate with the so-called dead. We can communicate with angels, with guides, with spirits, with ETs, with just all kinds of beings that don't have physical bodies, interdimensional beings. I've talked to interdimensional beings. I also talk to plants and animals, rocks. But I do like to close my eyes because I like to be very clear that, okay, now I'm looking into another realm. But I don't have to. If you want me to work with my eyes open just for an experiment, I will. It really makes no difference in terms of what I can receive. It's just my preference. But it's funny in the psychic world, just like every other profession and every other world, there's always going to be people who compete and compare and judge and say, oh, this is the best way. And if you do it this way, then you're more authentic if you do it this way. Like I was trained by so many different teachers. And some of my teachers said, if you use tools at all, then you're not really a great psychic. Like you can't use a pendulum. You can't use cards. You can't use any tools or what are those rods? Like I had teachers like that who were like, that's, a really good psychic works with nothing, which is how I work. I work with nothing. But I also know how to work with cards and other things. But my preference is to work with nothing. And there are other people who say, they have their own ideas about how you should work. But the only thing that really matters when it comes to evaluating a psychic is whether or not the information they give you is accurate and or transformative, right? It should be really both of those things, I think. I strive to be both. I strive to provide information that's accurate, and I also strive to provide information that's really helpful, transformative for people's lives. Okay, so back to the question of MK Ultra, a topic I know nothing about. So I'm going to look at it with my eyes open, just for kicks and giggles. What is it called? Kicks and giggles. What's that expression? Something and giggles. And so MK Ultra, so I'm just going to look at the white wall and look for an image on the white wall. That's another way you can work clairvoyantly. You can just look at a plain surface, and I'm going to just see, except this big light's in my way. Move this light. I have a lot of paintings, so I don't have a lot of white wall. Oh, okay, I'll look over there at the spider web. It's funny because I felt drawn to look at the spider web in the corner of my room. And I don't like to take down the spider webs because I'm like, the spiders are going to kill any flies, right? We need them. But it's funny because as I'm looking at the spider web, I feel like that's a good metaphor for MK Ultra, that it's some kind of network. And I think this is an old thing, though, like from a long time ago. So I don't know if it's a current thing, but it feels like a network of some kind. And so I can see like all of these buildings, these different buildings that are all connected in this network. And kind of like there's a group of buildings, but I feel like this group of buildings is reproduced in lots of different places. So it feels like a pretty big operation. And so it's coming to me that I think someone said it has to do with mind control. I'm suddenly remembering someone saying that. Mind control. Is that what it's related to? Like I'm seeing headsets, people wearing headsets, and I don't know. It's kind of reminding me of, the GATE. What was that program? The GATE program, or the GATE there were children who used to get taken out of class who had special psychic abilities, and they were put into special programs. And it's funny, I just read a description of it, and I was like, oh, I remember that, where they would go in and they would test your hearing. And I don't know, I was in those accelerated programs in grade school, and I'm the right age for it. So it feels like, I don't know if they're all connected, like the MK Ultra, the GATE program, and the Gateway. So Gateway is this program developed by Robert Monroe, and I've read all his books, and I love that program. That he developed some technology to help people go out of body, but people are very suspicious of it now because the government came a knocking, which they always do. Like I said earlier, they always come. Whenever there's any psychic research, the government comes a knocking and says, hey, we want a piece of the action, or we want to take over your whole research facility and make it a part of the DOD. And so they came a knocking, and they started using his technology for the military. And Monroe might have been an ex-military. I'm not sure. He was an engineer. And so now it's been recently declassified, and you can go on YouTube or anywhere and you can watch these videos. I hope they're still up. They were up like a year ago, of the Gateway program, how to, go out of body at will. I used his technique and found it quite effective about, 20 years ago. But so it seems like they're all connected, but they weren't all connected originally. Just like the Gateway was never a government program. It started out as a private company, and then it got, taken into the government. And so I feel like there's something to do, that the MK Ultra and Gateway and GATE, the program with the gifted youth, that they all eventually got connected, but they weren't originally meant to be connected. But there's always nefarious folks, right, who are trying to engage in high level shenanigans. So that's what I'm getting for MK Ultra. And if you tell me more about it, I can maybe get something more specific. But that's just my general take on what it is. Um, 1,000 gems loot box. I don't know what that is, but it sounds great. Thank you, Chili Dog, for the gems. I gotta look it up. Oh, that's what it is. That's probably why I couldn't say it. I don't like to cuss. That's probably why I couldn't remember that's the expression. I said kicks and giggles. Oh, now I just lost my necklace, my Larimar. Um, okay, let's see. Let's see what other questions I'm missing out on. I want to acknowledge all the gifts first. Um, how come some of you are blue? Oh, it won't even show you, even though you're blue. Oh, maybe it won't show you because you have a cuss word. Is that true? I tried to show that on the screen and it won't let me. Oh, you were a GATE student. I don't know if I was, but I was in this gifted um I was in a few gifted programs. I was in this gifted first grade program when I was whatever, 6. And I do remember them taking us out of the classroom all the time. And, growing up, I thought, why did I get so many hearing tests? Like, and I remember them being really unpleasant. And I recently read something about how the GATE program did something with headphones and beeps that was like a hearing test, but it wasn't. So then I was like, oh, maybe that's why I was in that program. But I don't really know. I don't really know. I was very young. So, oh, thank you to Strictly Pibbles for the gift membership. I appreciate that, whoever got it. Oh, okay. So here's someone who's going to tell us what it is. MK Ultra government program related to psychic work, remote viewing, and big doses of LSD. They worked with Charles Manson, and the family gave them free medical care. Ooh, creepy. I do know about remote viewing. I've read several books by remote viewers. And when I used to teach psychic development every week, I would sometimes do a class on remote viewing. Remote viewing is really just clairvoyance, but it's just kind of put into scientific language. And, sometimes we have to do that. Like, I have a background in science, I'm also a psychic. And so I know that sometimes you have to put things in different language in order to talk to different people. And remote viewing was a way that researchers in the government tried to kind of systematize psychic work. And it was also just a very masculinist project because they tended to mostly use men, which I think is kind of it's kind of hilarious because most psychics are women and the very best psychics, tend to be women. Not because men can't be, it's just that our society has kind of culturally trained that out of men. Like, people think of intuitive stuff as feminine, and so men are kind of conditioned not to develop their gifts. And women, on the other hand, because our lives are always in danger, we had to develop those gifts, right, for safety reasons. We had to, intuition is something that you need for survival when you're like the hunted, the prey. And so even though most psychics are women, these government programs focused on just men, right? They just had males. And then they had this very systematic way of doing it. We're going to call it remote viewing. Like, we don't like psychic and clairvoyant. That's too woo-woo. And so, we're just looking at things from a distance. And it's like, yeah, but you're not using your eyes. And you're not really viewing anything. You're clairvoyantly looking in your mind's eye. And so they were training people how to use their psychic gifts, their clairvoyance, to look at particular locations, giving them coordinates, and they wanted to develop it for spying, right? They figured, oh, if I can have a clairvoyant look inside of a Russian military base, maybe they can report back to us, how many weapons they have or what they're planning to do with them. And so they took these gifts and they tried to use them for unethical purposes. And they trained all of these, primarily men, some women, to hone their clairvoyant gifts specifically for the purpose of identifying targets that the military was interested in. and for spy work. And supposedly, if you read the history of this whole um, remote viewing, what were some of the names of it? They had some interesting project names. forget. Someone tell me in the comments for these remote viewing projects that the government was funding. Stargate, was it? I think one of them was called Stargate, and which is an interesting name, right? Because what does it have to do with stars or gates? um, but they developed these programs where they would, use clairvoyance to spy. And supposedly the history is that Russia was doing it first, and they had some very well developed psychics already spying on us. And so the US is like, oh, we gotta train our people to do the same thing. We gotta, Cold War, we gotta do everything they do. And that's the lore behind it. If you know something else, let me yeah, let me know. Oh yeah, IQ testing. Yeah, I was when we were children, I'm of the age where we got IQ tested very early, like at kindergarten. And then you were tracked, and it worked against some people. It worked for me because I had a high IQ, so it allowed me to get put onto these accelerated tracks from an early age. But we know IQ tests are culturally biased, and so everyone who's smart doesn't get the same score. It's not really it's not a super reliable way to suss out who should be studying what. But it basically measures certain gifts like logic and solve how to solve puzzles and certain things. um oh, blue is equal to mods. That's new though. I haven't seen that in the past because I've had a lot of mods who didn't have that blue color before. So I'm glad that they changed that. Oh, people are talking about um, pink drink with fluoride to block the pineal gland. Was that related to the GATE program? Okay, let's talk about that. So fluoride does help calcify your pineal gland. So your pineal gland is in the inside of your brain, and it's an organ that Western science for years has said, we don't know what this is. It's just like the appendix. It doesn't serve a purpose. And this is what arrogant people say when they don't know something, like junk DNA, right? This is how you know science has a long way to go. How are you going to call what percentage of it's like 90% of the DNA, they call it junk DNA because they don't know what it does. And we don't know what the appendix does, so we just say it doesn't have a purpose, and we just remove it from people. Well, the pineal gland is like that. It's this gland that scientists didn't know what it was. A related gland that science, until very recently, did not study or acknowledge or include in anatomy books is the clitoris. Clitoris is actually quite a large organ, and it has more nerve endings than the male equivalent, the penis. But it was never in the anatomy books. It was never covered. We don't know what purpose this serves. It's like, well, it serves a really good purpose, pleasure. And only the female body has an organ whose only purpose is pleasure. Male body has no such organ. But these are just examples, right? When people don't understand something and they're arrogant, they say, oh, it must not serve a purpose. So the pineal gland is a gland inside your brain, which in most adults is calcified. Like when you're born, it's not, but as you age, it kind of gets filled up with calcium, I think, or it gets calcified. Is that the right word? It gets, calcium in it. And then it can't really function. And what psychics will tell you, and what a lot of indigenous people from around the world will tell you, is that this is where you connect to the other world. This is where you connect to psychic information, spirit, etc., is your pineal gland. And so what some people have been saying recently is you should cut out certain things from your diet so that you don't have a calcified pineal gland. And one of those things is fluoride. So fluoride has been linked to calcification of the pineal gland. And it's kind of interesting that in the United States, I don't know which countries do this. I know we do it in the US. we have fluoride in our drinking water so that everybody is fluoridated where they want to be. If you drink from the faucet, you're fluoridated. And all of our toothpaste has fluoride in it. It might even be a requirement or something. I don't know. Part of the, federal health guidelines, right? That everybody needs fluoride to prevent cavities. But it also blocks your pineal gland, which can block your psychic development. There is an herb that I like to recommend that helps decalcify the pineal gland, and it's called haritaki. It's an ancient Indian Vedic remedy from like Ayurveda. And correct me if I'm wrong, if you're an Ayurvedic doctor, I think it's from Ayurveda, right? But it's called haritaki, and you can take that herb, and it can help you with your pineal gland. One of the things that it can do, you'll know. I took some to test it out. I'm not just talking about it. I already tried it, and I noticed when I took it that I remembered my dreams more, and they were more vivid. So I used to always remember all my dreams. And then 6 years ago, I was in a car accident and I got a brain injury, and I stopped remembering my dreams. And that was really weird for me. And there were a number of weird things that happened, and that was one of them. And so I started taking this haritaki, and it immediately had this impact of making my dream recall much better, kind of back to normal. But it's also supposed to help you with your psychic development. So it's something to think about. And you can also think about like using a non-fluoride toothpaste. Now, of course, that comes with its risks because you could have dental issues. I like to use I'm not a dentist, so I'm not giving any medical or dental advice here. I'm just talking about my experience. I like this new toothpaste they have that has what's it called? Hydroxy. Oh, see, now I'm going to forget the name of it. But there's this new ingredient out of I can't remember if it's in Asia somewhere that it was discovered that if you add it to your toothpaste, it can reverse gum disease and cavities and stuff. And I've had some positive results with it. But do your research. We got someone weighing in on the haritaki. Orias, thank you. I don't know if you're a Ayurvedic doctor or you just know about this. So they're saying it's a digestive remedy, reduces fever, cold, cough, skin issues, inflammation, and pineal gland health. So of course, don't take any herbs without consulting an herbalist or your doctor. I'm not telling you to take it. I'm just letting you know what I do. Yeah, exactly. Why would creator make body parts that don't have a purpose? They wouldn't. Everything has a purpose. We all have a purpose. Oh yeah, this might be it. Nano hypox, something like that. Something like that. Yes, Japan. I thought it was from Japan, but I wasn't sure. They use that instead, and they've banned fluoride. So they use the nano. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it. Hydroxy. Here's the name someone put down. Nano hypoxypatate. That doesn't sound exactly like the one I use, but I think it's the same thing. Yeah, okay. We got a lot of confirmation in the chat that it's a cavity prevention ingredient in Japanese toothpaste since the 50s. Okay, yeah. So it's got a dual. I wish I had started taking that earlier, because I don't have great teeth now, as you can see. But that's because I wasn't taking that until recently. So, but yeah, Japan swears by it. So do your research and see. Okay, I'm gonna go get some more questions. Tammy Sea Salts is saying 963 hertz also clears the pineal gland. Thank you for that. Yeah, there's a lot of frequencies that are very healing. Mark Brisbois wants to tell us LSD would make you astroplane, so I was told. Okay, I'm looking for another question to answer. Thank you everyone for being here. We got 672 people in the room. Um, oh, here's a little bit more information about that haritaki. It's also found in Triphalia supplements. Um, okay, yeah, 432 hertz is really a great solfeggio frequency for relaxing, for meditation. It's really nice. I highly recommend. Um, okay, so I'm just looking for my next question. So if you've tuned in late, I'm tuning into questions, and then sometimes I riff on whatever people ask me, like I just did about the pineal gland. Um, Here's a question from Freelam: will Medicaid cuts be reversed? So I'm going to tune into that. Medicaid. So I'm seeing people exchanging money. I'm seeing hands exchanging money, and there's some kind of grift related to this, related to Medicaid cuts. I mean, that's no. I mean, I know that's not a surprise. Everything the circus does is a grift, but that's just the first thing that's coming up around Medicaid is there's a grift. Someone has to grease someone's palm to get them reversed. But let's try to look into the future a little bit. So I don't know. When I try to tune into it, I'm getting a different thing. Like instead of me getting Medicaid reversed, I'm getting Medicaid replaced with something better. So that's when we go forward into the future. We see that a different system comes into existence. But I know that's probably not comforting for people who need it right now. So let me see if I can get anything more, sooner. If I look at sooner for Medicaid, I'm saying a 3-ring circus. That's our circus that's running the country right now. And so what I'm seeing is, you know how sometimes there's a juggler in the circus who's got a lot of balls in the air, and also with a 3-ring circus, there's like so many acts happening at the same time that it's hard to keep your eye on everything that's happening. That's part of the way this circus functions. Is they're trying to, you know, keep us distracted with this and this and this and this, and focus on this and then focus on this. And so that was part of it, was to try to keep us kind of spinning, kind of keep the American people spinning. That was the purpose of the cuts. Um, so when I tune into the circus itself, I don't see them having any intention to reverse it. So like when I ask them, no, they don't plan to reverse it. But when I look forward in the future, I see, their reign isn't that long, and the people who take over replace it with something better. And I think it's replaced with something better because instead of just reversing um, Medicaid, they're replacing like the healthcare system, like they're creating a healthcare system. So instead of us it just being certain people who get, it's more like Medicare for all, right? I do also see that the cuts are waking people up and agitating people in a way that's really building momentum, such that the people just aren't going to put up with much more. Like people are getting, and I actually saw that a long time ago. So if you follow me for a while, you might have heard me. Did I talk about this? I'm trying to remember if I did or if I just, because some things I don't talk about because I don't want to scare people. But I always saw the efforts of the circus to get rid of certain things like Medicaid. We call it Medicaid, yeah, Medicare, different names. to get rid of Social Security and Medicare, to get rid of those, the purpose of that was to create chaos and to put people in a vulnerable position so that they wouldn't feel that they had sovereignty and they wouldn't fight. But it's really a misguided approach, because actually it's precisely when people are hungry that they really start to take to the streets. When and what I yeah I do remember talking about this many months ago. I said, when old people start being impacted, like there are a lot of people who they'll put up with a lot, but if you hurt their parents or their old people, um, or their disabled relatives, for a lot of people that's the last straw. And so I have always seen that if they successfully make significant cuts to these type of programs, it leads to awakening and evolution with an R. Um, and so that's kind of the silver lining in that, is that the more cuts they make, the more intolerant people become. And I don't see it lasting for very long, because I see a complete overhaul of healthcare in the future. And if people ask me when in the future, I've tried to avoid timelines these days because it's been unreliable. Like when I try to get timelines, I feel like, and this is true for all of my psychic mutuals, like we keep seeing things and then we think they're imminent, but they haven't happened yet. The demise of the head clown. We keep seeing it, but it hasn't happened. Thank you for the gems from Keisha in New York City. I think it might be hot in New York City too. Thank you, moderators. Hope there's nothing going on but if it is, thank you. Um, thank you to the moderators. Um, someone said blue is members. Some people said blue is moderators. Okay. Okay, so I'm just looking for, I wanted to just acknowledge the gifts, and then I'm looking for another question. And I'm just going to answer questions. Hold on. Looks like Dr. Domenico sent me a gift. He's always so generous, or they are always so generous sending me gifts. Thank you to, I already said thank you to you. Thank you, the gems. I just want to make sure I thank people who send me gifts, because that's very nice. Thank you also to Chili Dog for the 1,000 gems. And I know, Dr. Domenico, you're in here somewhere. I just can't find your gift to put it on the stage. Oh, wait, was that it? Here it is. Dr. Domenico, thank you for the gift. $19.99. Hi, Dr. Vest. Thank you for all you do each week. Could you ask your guides how we can support men during their ego death as the great awakening and ascension unfolds? I can see the pain and resistance to healing from men. Thank you for that question, Dr. Domenico. I think you've asked similar questions in the past, or like along the same theme. I think I think maybe you're a therapist that works with men or something, if I recall correctly. Therapists are working overtime right now. So if you're a therapist, you already know. And if you have a therapist, you might also know. They're working overtime ever since the circus came to town, because we're also stressed out. And so, the decline of patriarchy and the rise of matriarchy is going to benefit everybody immensely, and it's going to really benefit men. And I know that there's some resistance to the decline of patriarchy because people have been lied to. Men have been told that patriarchy serves their interests, and it doesn't. But it's a system, right? It's a system of oppression which ranks genders and which, gives privileges to certain men and then punishes other men and punishes women for not being men, right? That's a simplified version. I mean, I used to teach philosophy, and I used to have a whole class on feminist theory, so I could hold forth about patriarchy at length, but I'm not gonna. it just, all you need to know is it's a system that privileges one gender over another, and it's quite complex. So, for example, our government structure, right, completely run by men. We've never had a female president, and the Senate, the House of Representatives, the CEOs of all the corporations, men. And we have lots of legislation regulating women's bodies. We have none regulating men's bodies. We have incredibly one of the highest rates of violence against women in the industrialized world in the United States. So it's a very dangerous place to live if you're female bodied. That's another trait of the patriarchy, is the violence, right? But it really harms men too, because men under patriarchy are taught that masculinity looks only one way, that there's a very narrow definition of what it means to be a man. And that means that if you don't fall squarely within that very narrow definition, then you're, chastised and excluded from certain things because you're considered not manly enough. And that definition of manhood is really twisted, right? And part of the definition of manhood is that you have to basically want to oppress women. You have to think that you're superior to women. You have to, right? And there are a lot of men who don't believe in that, right? There are a lot of feminist men. There are a lot of feminine men. There are a lot of gay men. There are a lot of trans men. There's a lot of men who don't really fit into patriarchy's definition of masculinity, and who don't buy into the whole patriarchy, story of, oh, this is the best possible world, Be a true man, get a woman to do all your labor for you, all your cooking and cleaning and birth your babies and emotional labor. And that's the life. That's paradise. The trad wife, right? That's the paradise, is get your servant, get your built-in servant. It's not working. It's not working for anybody. It's not working for women, obviously, but it's also not working for men. And so the challenge is going to be for men to educate other men about patriarchy and about the need for it to change, right? That's really the job of men helping other men. It's not really the job of women. Women have done enough emotional labor already trying to help men deal with stuff. And so women aren't going to do that work. That's not our work. But there are a lot of men out there who are not bought into the patriarchy, who do want the society to change, who think it could be better, who are perfectly positioned to actually be the educator, be the counselor, to help these men who need to make that transition out of patriarchy and into a new world where there is no ranking of genders and there is no stunting of emotional expression by either gender. Like currently, men are not allowed to cry and women are not allowed to be angry, right? So everyone's emotions are very stunted under patriarchy, where you're only supposed to express yourself in a certain way depending on what genitalia you have. And if you're a woman who is a leader or who is bossy or who is like take charge kind of person, you get called bossy. If you're a man who's a take charge kind of person, you're called an excellent leader. If you're a woman who gets angry, you're called a bitch. If you're a man who gets angry, you're just called a he-man, like a real man. If you're a man who cries, you're called a wuss or a pussy. And of course, pussy is the strongest organ in the human body. So not really a diss, but, patriarchy. So, this is all changing, which is really good. And what it's going to mean is that men are going to be freer to be in touch with all of their emotions. Men are going to no longer have to kind of corrupt their moral compass in order to buy into this idea that they're superior to other genders and therefore they can lord over them and oppress them. Like they're gonna be able to let go of that. And that's going to be very freeing for men, and it's going to be very it's going to allow them to kind of shift their consciousness up to become more moral and equitable beings and fuller beings who are truly in touch with their emotions, but also intuition. Remember, we were talking earlier about intuition. Most psychics are women. Um, men have been discouraged from developing their intuition, and so men as a whole don't tend to be as intuitively gifted. But that's going to change. That's changing now, right? As patriarchy gets dismantled, we're going to have more and more people of all genders developing their intuitive gifts. And so gender is no longer going to be a barrier or a determinant of who expresses intuitive gifts. There's just so many benefits to the dismantling of patriarchy. And so I think if you're one of those men like Dr. Domenico who's trying to help other men, you're going to want to talk to them about this, about the benefits of dismantling patriarchy to women, but also to men and other genders. Like everyone's going to benefit. And so maybe to explain to them how patriarchy has hurt them, that would be really beneficial. I used to teach an article called On Patriarchy by a male author, but now I forget its name. But another good article that I used to teach is called Sexism by Marilyn Fry. Very, very old article. She's an old-time feminist scholar. But it's a classic. It's really good. If I think of that other article, I'll let you know. If I can remember the name of the author. Thank you everyone for being here. Okay, looking for more questions. Yeah, so brothers of Tater Tot, right? So people are talking about the Tater Tot brothers. Of course, it's going to be freeing for women. I was just answering that particular question by a man asking about men. But yes, women are going to be greatly benefited by the decline of patriarchy. Okay, people are talking about Jimothy. Yeah, I'm not concerned. This person, Star Lotus, says, "Oh, I'm concerned about young men and the toxic influencers trying to sway them into misogyny." I'm not concerned because I think we've reached that critical mass point where we're only going to go forward. Those are like the last gaspers. Those angry, what are they called? Incel radio bros trying to influence, like CK, he was one of them, trying to influence young men into being misogynistic. They just don't have enough of a following, and it's too late. It's too late. Oh, good day from Australia. Good day, sister Australia. Modern day woman won't even bring a tablecloth. I don't know what that means, but I say yay. Yay to the women who don't bring a tablecloth. Unk alert. I don't know what that means. Oh, right. That's supposed to be an insult if you're older. They call you an unk. So I don't know if this person's calling me an unk. I don't consider it an insult. Yeah, we are going to have. I did see a council of women coming in. Oh, I saw a count. I shouldn't say I saw a council of women. I saw a council, but I also saw lots of powerful women on the council. Not just women, but I saw a lot of powerful women on the council in the future. Okay, here's a question. I've never heard this from Jenna Tanay. Did the network of EP, including Nutlick, develop Bitcoin tech digital currency as a way to send large amounts of money through this kind of black market? Nutlick was apparently EP's main money person. Okay. I don't know anything about this. I do like to follow all the news about EPI. Like I'm really excited about the BBC lawsuit and the extradition of the Tater Tot brothers. But I did not hear about this. So let me tune in. Did the network develop Bitcoin tech? I mean, there's overlap, but it's not just like the same people. So here's the thing about the global traffic. It's very much embedded in the global economy. So I've talked about this a lot in the past, but I'm going to go over it again because I think it relates to this question about the Bitcoin. Um, the global economy, um, the really scary thing for a lot of the members of the global traffic, the really scary thing for a lot of them, excuse me, the reason they're so afraid of the global bad traffic being exposed through the files of Epi is not just because a lot of people don't want their names coming out and people finding out about the horrific crimes they've been involved in. That's a part of it, right? But they're also really worried about the common people throughout the world, you know, you and me, not billionaires, not power brokers, just regular people, us finding out about how the economies of the world are run and who they're run by. And the network of bad traffic involves all of these global economy power players. And so when you ask, was Bitcoin created for the bad traffic, I don't get a yes, but I do get that many of the same people were involved in both. So many of the people who created the digital currency are also the people who are involved in the bad traffic. There's just a lot of overlap there. Um, what we have to realize about the bad traffic is that it's huge. It's huge. It involves a lot of people and a lot of major power brokers, and so I don't see it as some hierarchical, you know, pyramid scheme where there's someone at the top making the decisions for everybody else. I don't see it that way. I see it more like people with shared interests um, making a lot of deals um, and doing things for each other that are mutually beneficial. Um, and so, yeah, I can see like tech bros who were involved in the bad traffic saying, hey, have you heard about this new thing I created? It could really help you out with your bad traffic too, you know? But I don't see it as like the rulers of the bad traffic said, we need some digital. I don't see that. I could be wrong, but I don't see it that way. That's not how I see it when I tune in. Okay. All right. So I'm just taking questions and welcome to my live. I always forget to say, you know, if you're free to buy me a coffee if you want. And thank you for the gifts, for everyone who's sending me gifts. Thank you for those people who buy me coffee. Thank you for everyone who's a member, subscriber to my Patreon, etc. Thank you to all of you for your support. All right. So I'm just looking at looking at what other questions we have. Oh, Keisha, New York is telling us, Unc and Auntie are terms of respect, endearment, and or gentle teasing in the Black community. Well, it's funny because my nephew came up to my sister and I the other day and said to us, "Are you offended?" They said they told us. He told us, "Oh yeah, this is what young people call older people when they're like, it's kind of an insult, you know, that they're too old, like kind of like boomer." And he was like, because they were trying to say, okay, boomer, and we're like, yeah, we're not boomers, so you got, you know, learn your generations. and and he was like, well, is it better to say Unc? It's also an insult. So this is according to a 21-year-old. I don't know. But yeah, I consider it. I don't consider it negative. Yeah, auntie and uncle is used in the Black community. It's used on reservations, the Native community. Um, and yes, young people repurpose terms, right? They come up with their own meanings. And so, according to my young nephew, it's meant to be an insult. But then he felt bad about it. So he told us, well, you know, this is how we use this term. So I don't know. I think different people in different age groups use the terms differently. So you got to factor that in. Okay, Tammy Sea Salt says, the other force behind crypto is unlimited money to politics from unknown sources. That's true. I agree with that statement. If you hang around, yeah, so in Hawaii, you become an auntie or an uncle if you're around someone's kids. That's how it was when I was growing up. In certain communities, right? Okay, someone said that Rita Rader has a question about an elder who was kidnapped by ICE. I'm trying to find the question. Oh, here it is. Thank you for your question, Rita Rader. Will that elder that was kidnapped by ICE get released? She was on her way to get chemo and they took her and won't give her help and won't let anyone see her. It's so sad. They're just doing this to so many people. Does anyone have their name? It's easier for me to tune into a name. Also, it's just nice to acknowledge people by their names. What's the elder's name? Um, okay, I'm going to return to that question after I get the name. And in the meantime, I'm going to look at this question. Do you see Head Clown being arrested? I do not. I don't even have to tune into that. I've never seen that. I know it's not the answer anyone wants to hear. I've never seen that. That's why I think we've all been pinning our hopes on the Grim Reaper, because that's the only way. Never saw him in handcuffs. But let me tune in right now and see if there's any new information. And I'm going to close my eyes this time because I kept my eyes open for the last 5 questions because someone asked me to work with my eyes open. So I did. I proved to you that I can work with my eyes open, right? We can rest that. I'm going to close my eyes for this one. Let's see if I can tune into the Head Clown. Why would I want to do that, though? So I'm going to tune into the White House. This is as close as I'm going to get. And then I'm just going to ask about repercussions, consequences and repercussions for this team of merry thieves, this band of thugs. And so I am seeing some handcuffs on some people. So I'm looking at the circle, like the inner circle. And it's funny because I'm seeing one really prominent person being very publicly arrested. So that feels like the first person. It's a man. That's all I'm getting so far. A white man. I know that doesn't narrow it down at all, but I'm just telling you what I see. And it's interesting because it's like there's this circle of men, like old white men, right? That's what his circle looks like. I'm just describing the people he chose because he's a racist and a sexist, and so he only likes to work with that type of people. And so that's what his circle looks like. They all kind of look, similar. And I'm seeing this circle of these, old guys, and they're looking in shock as one of them gets arrested. And now I guess I could interpret this vision as him being the one. But I'll look again. I don't interpret it that way because I've never seen it before. But I'll tune in again. Is it possible that I'm just have a bias against this happening because I just keep saying that it's not going to happen? But there is one person very publicly arrested, and the rest of them are looking on in shock. And of course, I want it to be someone with orange hair, orange skin, yellow hair. But is it? What's interesting is the way I'm seeing it now when I kind of tune in more, I'm like trying to see the yellow hair, the orange skin. I'm like, is it him? And then I did see it and I was like, yeah, wishful thinking. But then when I said, okay, is this wishful thinking? What I got was, well, this is more of a fear that you're tapping into, that they have this fear. And I do feel like they end the experiment when this happens, when this is a potential, they end it. So what I'm getting from that is no, he's not going to be arrested, because if it ever gets close to that, his inner circle is going to take him out. They're going to make sure it doesn't happen, because for them it would be too much of a public humiliation for them to have that happen. And so they'd rather take him out than have that happen. And so I feel like I'm tapping into the fears and dreams of his inner circle, of like, if we ever got close to that. So they're bound for some, so I shouldn't say for some reason. They are very invested. It's funny because we've all been wondering this, like, why are they so invested in protecting this person? But they clearly are, right? And so I'm getting that. I'm getting they're so invested in protecting him, and it has to do with the image. It's not him. It's not that they love him. They love what he represents for them. And if he were to get, indicted on something, it would destroy their whole project. So he's like the figurehead of their project, and he's the symbol of their project. And so if the symbol is tarnished, it tarnishes their greater goals. So when I say they, I'm talking about a group that I call the overlords. The inner circle in the circus, but also the overlords, the sponsors of the circus, the people who have a lot of power and money, who are very invested in a particular project. That head clown is simply the means to their end, right? He's who they thought could successfully pull this off. So thank you. I'm seeing a lot of gems come my way, and thank you for the silver star, Hope Suzanne. Thank you for the 450 gems from Storm Dragon. I don't even really know what gems are, but I'm sure they're good. Thank you to Janet for the 440 gems and the Unk Alert. Thank you. Oh, I got a finger heart from Lisa Ann. Thank you for the gems. And thank you. Oh, another Unk Alert from Malgosia Admin. And thank you for the gems. Someone tell me what the gems mean. Oh, that's another one. Did I get 2 from you? You sent it to me twice. You sent me gems twice. I think. Thank you to, and I don't know if blue means you're a member. Thank you if you're a member. Thank you for the gems. And did I thank everybody? We got 700 people in the room. I'm answering questions intuitively related to our political situation. It's for entertainment purposes only. YouTube. Did I make it to dinner on time? I did. Yeah. So last week I was at a retreat, and so I only did a 1 hour live. I usually do like 1.5 to 2 hours. But I was at this retreat. I was doing some writing, and they have meals, which is so lovely because it's so nice to just be able to write and not think about food and just show up when they ring the dinner bell. So yeah, I made it to dinner. I got there on time. There was still food left. Okay. I think hopefully I've thanked everybody who gave me gems. And if I haven't, I want to thank you anyway. Did I get this one? Thank you for the floating heart. 10 gems from Hope Suzanne. And Moonbeam Child. Wait, Moonbeam Child Blue 62. Thank you for the watermelon 500. So apparently there's a gift box. This person is explaining it. So Barbara DeGuzzi says, there's a gift box at the bottom next to the comment box. And then this whole menu pops up with numbers. And I think they must be points. I don't know what it means, but I'll have to look into it later. You can also, someone was saying, you can also buy me a coffee with this QR code. But thank you. Thank you for those were fun, those gifts. Okay, so I am answering questions. We got 774 in the chat. I'm looking for the next question that I'm going to answer. Oh, someone said, "How do you buy a coffee so I get all the money?" That's this little QR code. Buy me a coffee. I mean, they do take a little bit out. There's a little, it's yeah. There's always a little bit of a fee, but you know. Okay. Um. Okay. Oh, here's a question. Another arrest question from Mary Blue Raven. Do I see Hegsbreath being arrested? Oh, I feel like I had some news about Hegsbreath, and now I forgot what it was. Because wasn't that in my notes, my Metatron, not the news notes? I feel like I had a Hegsbreath comment. Um, well, I can't remember. I feel like I want to know what the news is related to him. I feel like maybe it's relevant. Let me just look real quick on my list of things, see if I see him. Or someone can tell me in the chat if isn't there some new Hex Breath news? Okay, I guess it doesn't matter. I'll just tune in. Um, is he going to get arrested? It's funny because I remember I saw that one of the inner circle has a very public arrest, um, but I couldn't see who it was. So let me see if I can get. I guess I don't even know what Heg's breath looks like. So that would, I guess, it would help if I knew what he looked like. Um, so maybe I need a symbol for him. What does a Heg's breath look like? Can't be like dragon's breath because dragons are lovely. What's a Heg's breath look like? It's like hex breath. It's like a breath that hexes you. That's what it is. That's what he is. That's actually an accurate description. So I'm gonna see that as smoke rings. That'll be my symbol. All right. Let's see if I see any smoke rings around the arrest. Yeah. So I don't. I see the smoke rings, hex breath, right next to the guy getting arrested. So kind of like he's second in line after this guy, and it's almost like this guy is that possible bigger than Hex Breath? Um, this guy is more related to money. The guy I see getting arrested first is more related to money, and Hex Breath is more related to um, military, right? Um, oh, I think I know. I remember what he looks like now. Wasn't he like a radio show guy or something? None of them are qualified, right? None of them actually have any expertise or degrees in the field. So he was. They're all from some other profession. um, that's one of the things we're really going to have to work on after the circus leaves town. Is we're going to have to like educate everyone again about the importance of credentials, right? Because now we've had this lawless period where people are unqualified and getting jobs because they're friends with somebody or somebody paid them, and we're going to have to really do some education around qualifications and credentials and you know how not to get a job. um, so I'm going to say no. I don't see him, at least not first. Not saying no, no, never, but doesn't feel like he's first. So that's my answer. I'm sticking to it. Um, okay, here's another question. Will Mayor Mamdani get any serious blowback for declaring that Benny is a war criminal and the architect of G-Side? They're trying to cow him, right? They're trying to be like, you don't have the authority to arrest him. And it's like, you know, and I know people are worried about him. I mean, about his safety. And that's because, we know the history, right? If anyone speaks out against this particular place, there are often consequences and repercussions, right? So Let's tune into Mamdani, our socialist hero. There are a lot of Democratic socialists who are getting elected. So there's kind of a shift happening. And that really confirms what I got quite a while ago that I've been saying for a while, which is that in the future, in the near future, we're not going to have that red party is not going to exist. The blue party is going to become the most conservative party, and then we're going to have more progressive party to the left. And I've been saying this for a while. And so now I'm starting to see what it looks like, because the Democratic Socialist is like a new, and it's not really new. I've been a Democratic Socialist for years, but it's new in terms of it winning elections, right? Like Bernie Sanders was a Democratic Socialist. He didn't get elected. He didn't even get in the primary, right? But there's a new wave in that direction, right? Where people are actually starting to get elected under that platform. And so it looks like maybe that's going to be that party that I saw, because I saw this new party coming in the future as a direct result of the circus, right? It's really clear that the current Blue Hat Party is not progressive enough for the general public, because they haven't pushed back enough against the circus. And so I do feel that the election of Mamdani and some of these other people is kind of a sign of that shift that we're making to the left, in terms of to the progressive, more progressive party. And so in that regard, because I see it as part of a kind of a big national shift in politics, I'm not really worried about him in general, but sometimes movements do have martyrs, right? Let me just tune into him. And I'm just hearing that song he used to sing during his election, like Mamdani, M-A-M-D, and it's pronounced Mamdani. Like he was telling people how to say his name, and there was like a little chant or song. That's what I'm hearing. It was very clever and very whimsical. Whimsy, we need whimsy right now, right? We really need whimsy. We're going through a lot. We need our whimsy when we can get it. So, what does the whimsical Mamdani have for us? I do see some like thuggish people who have, who do want to lay hands on him. And I see threats being made to try to silence him. So I'm seeing like these thugs. It's like a scene from one of those movies with the mobsters, and they grab you and take you to a back room and say, if you know what's good for you, you better keep your mouth shut. So I'm seeing like a scene like that. So there's definitely going to be an effort to get him to stop talking about this. I don't see him. That's all I see for now. I don't see something worse happening. But I do feel like that's already happening. So like when I tune into it, I don't see it in the future. I see it in the present, that he's already being threatened with, you better stop talking about this or else. All right. Member for 8 months, Cyber Lucy. Thank you for your membership. Have you seen anything about MM? Yes, I did. I talked about it. Was it last week or the week before? I go live every Thursday, usually around 5. Sometimes I go at 4 for the East Coasters. But I already saw him. So for the last whatever weeks, I've seen him. I saw him in a hospital bed, completely unconscious. And then more recently, when I tuned in, I saw him with a ventilator. Because the first time I saw him, there wasn't a ventilator. He was just like in a coma, but without assisted breathing. So he was still breathing on his own. And then, like a week later, when I tuned in, because I think I get this question every week, I got the ventilator. And then last week when I tuned in, I saw him laid out in a black suit, like he was no longer of this world. Um, Now, that was, I don't know, a week or two ago. I forget when that was. If you were in my live, you remember. Now, just this week, I heard Linda G, one of my mutuals, a Comanche psychic, say that she heard that Governor Bashir was telling people that he had it on good authority that MM was no more and that he was going to appoint somebody. That doesn't seem to have happened, though. He doesn't seem to have made an appointment. So hopefully that's going to happen soon. But I do feel like he's no longer with us, and they're keeping it quiet because they're trying to run out the clock till August 3rd. Okay. Stay hydrated. Thank you for the gems. Yeah, when it's hot, get dehydrated fast. I love this. He's on eternity leave. Amanda Jinja. That's a good one. Okay, I'm just looking at your comments. I know there's a lot of tortoise jokes, but then, I really like the tortoise and the turtle, so I feel bad for them that they're being associated with this fella. Turtle Watch, day 39. There it is. The name is Mandami, Mandani. You should learn how to spell it. Yeah, they are. Democratic socialists are making waves around the country. People are angry about the corruption and want the tax dollars to help those who work for them. Yeah, I mean, people are starting to come together over certain economic issues, right? Like the fact that nobody can can buy gas or groceries, the fact that people are losing their aid, the fact that all of our tax dollars are going to a war that nobody wants or approved of and that has really no purpose that we can ascertain what the purpose is. Like there's no goal, there's no end goal. The fact that it's hurting us financially, the fact that these centers of data are depriving people of electricity and water, these are like bipartisan issues, right? And so a lot of people are shifting. When I first got on, I talked about how even his supporters no longer, they don't support this war. Like they're angry about it too. So it's not just like the blue hats or the independents who are angry about some of these things. Everybody's angry, right? And so this is resulting in a shift, the way I see it, a shift in the progressive direction. And this makes sense given what my guide said about this clown from the beginning. So back in 2016, I was a poll worker, and my sister and I used to work at the polls every election, and we were, I forget the name of our position, but we were like the supervisor types where we had to do all the work. So at the end of the day, like you had to get there at 6 a.m, set up, run the polling place all day, and then afterwards we had to count all the ballots and put them in special boxes and envelopes, and then drive them to drop them off. And so we wouldn't get out of there till midnight. We'd be there from 6 a.m till midnight. And so when you do that work, you don't really know what's happening, right, with the election. And because you don't have time to watch the news, you barely have time to go to the bathroom. And so it wasn't until I got home, like 12:30 at night, I turned on the TV and I see the news that Bozo had won, and I immediately asked my guides, why did this happen? We were all, everybody was sure that Clinton was going to win, and it was going to be this big moment for us all to have our first female president, and then dude is declared the winner, and we're like, what happened? So I asked my guides, why did this happen? And they said, oh, this is really good, because this is going to bring the country together. People are going to unite against him, and so he's going to have the ultimate impact of unifying the country, because you're going to unify against a common enemy, and it's going to bring people together. And I was like, what? That sounded so crazy to me back in 2016. And then when he rigged it again in 24, then it became really clear. Like, then my guides were like super clear about, this guy is an agent of chaos. He's an agent of destruction, and he's going to come in and he's going to destroy as much as he can, because that's his goal. His goal is to destroy as much as he can. His goal is also, of course, to enrich himself and his buddies, and to, have power. But his spiritual purpose, his human purpose, is to enrich himself through endless grift, and give his friends power, and keep all the pedophiles, secret. But his spiritual purpose is to be an agent of chaos and destruction that will have the ultimate result of causing us to have revelations about the true nature of our world. And so he was an agent of revelation as well, that he's coming to destroy things, and to create so much chaos and destroy so much of our government, that it forces people to wake up, forces people to unify, forces people to recognize how truly broken everything is. Not just the US government, which was already very broken and controlled by corporate interests and pedophiles, but I'm not supposed to say that word. I forgot about the algo. Hope it doesn't get me in trouble. Let's say PDF. But basically, as an agent of chaos and destruction, he then forces us to encounter revelation, to kind of become aware of things that we didn't really want to become aware of. So, like, the whole global ring of bad traffic is something that's been going on for a long time, but it wasn't widely known, right? And now it's widely known. Everybody knows about it. We also know about a lot of other things we didn't used to know about, with regard to the role of companies, corporations in our power structures. We also know a lot more about It's Not Real and the Land of Vodka, and how they're connected to our circus, and how they're connected to world power, right? We just know a lot more. We also, like, as of the last 4 months, is it 4 months since this war started? 4 weeks? I don't know. It's been forever. I think it feels like 4 months. We now know about oil, right? We didn't know about that before. We didn't know, I say we, I mean the general public, did not know the extent to which certain power brokers were in charge of the gas prices globally, because of how they manipulated the sale of oil. So now we know that, because of this conflict, right? So lots of things are coming to the surface. So that's what my guide said a long time ago, that this was the purpose of this regime, to bring things to the future. Bring things to the surface, I mean. Bring things to the future. Thank you, Shauna, for the gift. 333. What does 333 mean? I forget. Remind me. Oh, here's someone's, Michelle, the original, has this theory that Andy's going to wait until the last minute to appoint Blue Hat to take his seat for the rest of the year. That way, he doesn't leave enough time for them to counter. Oh, that's a good strategy. I like that. Um, yeah, exactly, Kendra. It didn't make any sense because these people don't exist. You know, ETA has found that there were 5 fake counties putting in tallies. Um, oh, here we go. Here's the person. Someone was asking about this elder. Her name is Martha Antonia Silas Ochoa, and she was detained by Coldwater in Chaparral, New Mexico, while her family stated she was heading to a chemotherapy appointment. It's so sad. It's like that little boy. Remember early on in this whole debacle when they kidnapped that little boy getting cancer treatment and sent him back? I don't even think they sent him back. I think they put him in detention and just gave him no treatment. Um, so the question was, will will Martha Ochoa be released? I think that was the question that was asked a while ago, and then I said, "Oh, I want to know her name." The elder who was kidnapped. Will she be? Will she be okay? I don't really like to answer questions like this because, you know, then when I get a bad answer, I don't want to share it. But I will tune in anyway. So I'm seeing this older woman with a child, and you know, it's kind of like I'm seeing the elder, and I'm seeing also the child that they did this to, and I see them together. Um, and I don't know how to. I don't know if I want to interpret that. I know one way I can interpret it. Um, yeah, I just see them kind of floating above it all, and like there's California, and then there's the border um, with Mexico. Um, they were just showing me that border. I see they're in New Mexico. Um, but I don't see them going across the border. So I don't see either her or the little boy who had cancer. I don't see either of them going to Mexico. Um, I see them floating above it all, which, you know, it's good and it's not. You know, there's different ways to interpret that. Um, I'm going to leave it at that. So, at a spiritual level, I see that they're fine. No, it wasn't Liam. It was a little boy who was also going to cancer treatments who was kidnapped. Oh, someone said the child was released. Oh, you mean Liam, or you mean the child with cancer? Because those are two different children. I guess all I can say is that I don't see either of them being sent back to Mexico. I don't know if that's true. Lantern Hill Morgan says that MM made it so you there has to be. Um, I did hear about that, but I don't think that applies when. Well, I don't know. I don't think that's true. Um, because if it was, I don't think that Bashir would be saying he's going to do this. But maybe I'm wrong. Oh, here's a question. We're getting pretty close to 2 hours, so this might be my last question. Maybe I'll answer another one. I'll see how long this takes me. Um, Oh, but first, someone answered the question 333. Master teachers or ascended masters are with you. Thank you. I love that. Okay, Parnas reported that the two space boys, JB and EM, want to put millions of data centers in space. Experts say it could destroy ozone layer and have catastrophic effect on Earth. Will the ETs allow this? Um, yeah, the short answer is no. Um, but actually, I don't see this even happening. I mean, I don't even see this. Sorry, I don't even see them being able to even try to do this. Um, because what I have seen for a long time for Starboy, EB, and the other one, who's the other one? Can't remember. I mean, EM. I can't remember who JB is. But for EM, who I call Starboy, um, I have always seen him facing consequences and repercussions. I've always seen him losing his contracts, losing his money, not all of it, but losing a lot, and then going into exile, being denied entrance to many, many countries, being kind of a pariah, but being so wealthy that he can never truly be captured and, you know, arrested or anything. So I don't see him getting to the point where he can do that. With regard to the ETs, just I'm just going to answer first based on what I've already been told. From the star beings that I have spoken to. They don't allow anything to be done that is going to negatively impact the cosmos. So, like, that's why we're not allowed to use Newtonian weapons, because it wouldn't just hurt us; it would hurt all of the other beings on Earth, including the interdimensional beings who live in other dimensions, like around planet Earth. And if it's big enough, it could even impact the fabric of space around planet Earth. So um, we're not allowed to do that. So they always interfere in that case. When it comes to this proposal, if it satisfied that same criteria, like if these flying centers of data were actually going to interfere with the ozone, which would interfere with all life on Earth, not just human life, then yeah, they would interrupt that. Because actually the majority of life on Earth is not human. The majority of life on Earth is not human. We are a minority species. And we're not the most important species. We're not the pinnacle of evolution. We're not the dominant species. We're all these lies we've been told by our scientists, right, is not who we are. Most of the people who live on planet Earth live in the oceans. And the oceans are much bigger than the land mass. And we don't even understand the oceans. We're unable to travel deep into the oceans. And so we are completely unaware of these civilizations. We're just starting to understand, like, that dolphins and octopus are highly evolved beings who are highly intelligent. We're just beginning to figure that out. But there's all kinds of people that live in the oceans. And so this is not our planet, right? This is everyone's planet. So we're not allowed to do anything that's going to destroy the planet or destroy life for other life forms, for the majority of life forms. I mean, obviously we've harmed a lot of life forms, but we haven't harmed the majority. It may seem like it sometimes because we're focused on land. So we have damaged a lot of habitats for land animals. But there are a whole lot of other beings that live in the ocean. A lot more beings live in the ocean, and there's also interdimensional beings. And now the interdimensional beings don't require the ozone, but the sea creatures do. The sea people do. The people that live in the sea do. So no, we won't be allowed. They won't be allowed to do that. But we're in the middle of a big bubble, right? The robot intelligence bubble is happening already. I talked about it at the beginning of my live. Hundreds of billions of dollars in lost valuation just happened for Starboy and others. I think that was that my last question? Let's see if there's one more question. Yeah, all the things. Um, yeah, someone's got rules, and then all the things we think we are. Yeah. So let's see what someone has. I just want to see what people have weighed in about Kentucky. So the Kentucky law disallowing the governor to appoint a senator was challenged and then vacated. Yeah, so I knew that wasn't true. Um, so I'm glad someone else has some up to date information. So someone said the law that disallowed the governor to appoint a replacement was challenged and then vacated. Um, oh, here's another gift. Thank you so much to Sue. Thank you, Jennifer Lisa. Love and appreciate you sharing your gifts with us very much. Thank you. I appreciate you too. Oh, I got to answer this one. Ugh. Okay, there's just, some of these things I don't talk about because they're too upsetting. Like there's a whole tribe up in Ontario who lost everything. And I actually forgot the name of the tribe, but it's really sad. Um, and I guess they've been trying to get aid and they weren't being given aid. And so I'm going to try to find where there's a link where people can donate, and then I'll post it on my posts. But also, there is encroachment of indigenous land happening. And so somebody says, Rita Rader says they're transferring the land deed that is sacred tribal land in the Southwest. I think that's New Mexico, right? It's like Chaco Canyon. Yeah, I think it's Chaco Canyon. Um, and there's a lot of people protesting it. Um, well, I don't know how many are protesting it, but I think some are already protesting it, and I think a lot more are going to protest it. Um, and so look that up, people. Look up. I think it's Chaco Canyon is the sacred land. I feel like the governor of New Mexico. Um, Look for her channel. Like if she has a channel on YouTube or TikTok, or look for her channel because I think she is providing information about that land. Um, I wonder if Havland is talking about this. Maybe she's talking about it too. But I do feel like there's a big movement around this happening. Let me tune in a little more. And yes, I'm seeing the land. I'm seeing some mountains and valleys. I guess those are called canyons. I don't know. Um, Yeah, so I don't really see it happening. I see what I'm seeing is, bulldozers, and then how there was that young girl in the Pali land many years ago who stood in front of a bulldozer to try to stop settlers from taking over the land of the people, of the indigenous people there. And then they rolled over her and unalived her. It was an incredible act of bravery on her part. If someone knows her name, put her name in the chat so we can honor her. I see that image, and I see people going out there and standing in front of bulldozers or standing in front of mining equipment or whatever, standing in front of whatever they have to stand in front of to stop it. So get involved if you can. If you're in New Mexico, get involved. If you're not in New Mexico, donate to whatever movement is doing that right now. And I'll put it on I'll post it once I have a link. Um, I just want to acknowledge another gift. Candace Finley, thank you for sharing your gifts with us. You have a really calming voice. Oh, thank you. Um, yeah, so yeah, people think it's related, right, to the investigation. It's Oral Ranch. And I just want to see if anyone has her name. I'm going to post something about how to get involved. Um, I'm trying to see if anyone has her name, but while I'm waiting, I'm about to end the live, but I'm just going to answer to this. Yeah, kind of. So I was shown a long time ago that he's involved with the mob, organized crime, and that's how he operates, like an organized crime boss, and has for many, many decades. And that's how the bad traffic also operated, through that type of organization. Rachel Corrie, is that her name? Rachel Corrie, thank you. So that was the very brave young woman. I think she was maybe a college student, very young, who stood in front of a bulldozer in the settlements in the Pali land. And she lost her life, but she made a really powerful statement that got the attention of the world. Um, yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, so it's definitely organized. Yeah, so I'm just answering that earlier question about is head clown a mobster? Not like really, but connected. Um, so here, Michelle is saying, oh yeah, he had contacts from his father's time. Remember, his grandfather was a pimp, right? So his grandfather immigrated to this country and opened a brothel, became a pimp. Like this is his roots. This is right. So it goes way back in his family line. This behavior, this kind of treating women like and girls like property. Um, yeah. Oh, someone here went to the same college as Rachel Corrie, the heroine, Evergreen. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming, for your comments, for your community, for your gifts, for your questions. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you next week. So I do this live every week. I sometimes post shorter videos. I haven't been posting as much lately, but I'm hoping to post more in the future. But I always do my live, usually about 2 hours every Thursday night. So hit your notifications. You have to hit notifications all to be notified that I'm going live. And if you do that, then you'll always know when I'm going live. So thank you, everybody, and see you next time.